Where Roman Catholic cardinals have attended a public mass in St. Peter's Basilica just a few hours before the conclave is due to begin. 133 cardinals are expected to vote for the new pontiff. Following the mass, the cardinals will gather in the Vatican's frescoed Sistine Chapel, where they will begin their secret conclave to elect a successor to Pope Francis, who passed away last month. No pope has been elected on the first day of a conclave for centuries, so voting could continue for several days before one of the cardinals receives the necessary two-thirds majority votes to become the 267th pontiff. There will only be one ballot today. Thereafter, the cardinals will vote twice in the morning tomorrow and twice in the afternoon, and continue that every day until the new pope has been elected. Black smoke from a chimney on the roof of the chapel will mark an inconclusive vote, while white smoke and the ringing of bells will signal that 1.4 billion member church has a new leader. Well, for more on this now, we cross to SABC News Correspondent Trent Murray. He joins us now live from Rome, Italy. Good afternoon, or is it good morning there, Trent? What are you hearing about the key issues likely to shape the Cardinals' discussions?
Well, good afternoon to you. That's right. Those 133 cardinals are now preparing to enter the Sistine Chapel later this afternoon. We expect around 4 p.m. Johannesburg time is when they will head into that lock-up, where the windows will be closed, the curtains drawn, even the mobile phone signal blocked in the room to try and maintain the secrecy. And we are expecting the conclave will likely focus on the direction the church wants to take with a new leader. Would it like a more conservative pope, going back to sort of the traditional Catholic doctrine, or would they like to continue in the footsteps of Pope Francis on a more progressive agenda, making public statements about issues like migration, climate change, social inequality? That is likely what will dominate discussions in the room. As you rightly say, they decide who will be the new leader of 1.4 billion Catholics around the world.
And then, Trent, can you tell me what the mood is like in Rome at this time? It just must be electric. Or are people perhaps feeling a little bit nervous or tense?
Oh, look, there is so much speculation and anticipation in the city. There is a real buzz here right now. It's certainly down in St. Peter's Square. There are thousands of people. Many of them are Catholic faithful who have come to get a front row seat to this historical moment. But many others are just tourists wanting to catch a glimpse of what's going on while they're on their holiday. It certainly will likely be a holiday to remember, being here when a new pope is chosen. But of course, the eyes of the world are also on this. We know a lot of social media is following this. The Vatican press office is doing its best to share images and pictures and updates for people that are looking for that information. But no, there is certainly excitement, I would say, in the city right now as we all wait and watch that most famous chimney.
Trent, do you want to have a guess as to who you think could be the next pope, or at least who are in your top 5?
It's a very difficult question, and many church insiders are saying we need to be very cautious about our favourites and front runners, because last time the papal conclave took place, Pope Francis wasn't considered a favourite at all. He was a real outsider, and yet we all know how that turned out. Look, I think some of the names that we certainly need to watch for: Cardinal Tagle of the Philippines certainly seems to be getting a lot of backing from the progressive side of the church. We know Asia has got a big representation at this conclave, up almost 10% since last time. There is a Hungarian, Cardinal Erdo of Hungary, as well as an Italian. Of course, the Italians would like to get an Italian pope again. They're considered more conservative favourites. But I will just briefly mention, because it's important, there are 3 names in the mix from Africa: the Cardinal from Ghana, the Cardinal from Congo, and the Cardinal from Central African Republic. They are considered possibilities, and if they were to be selected, they would be the first African pope in 1500 years, as well as the first ever from sub-Sahara Africa. So that is a very long answer, and my way of saying there are many, many names in the mix, and it would be very dangerous, I think, to try and predict which one would be the winner.
Now, as my research has revealed, the selection of the new pontiff can take, on average, 3.2 days. Are you expecting it to happen within 3 days this time round? Certainly not 3 years like it did in the 1200s.
I'm not sure I can manage three years. I think my waistline would grow too much from all of the pasta and the pizza. Look, you are right. It generally takes a couple of days. The last two popes, Benedict and Francis, it was all done and dusted in more or less 48 hours, and there is an expectation that it could go that way again. Today, it's worth mentioning, there is only one round of voting, so we're only going to be watching smoke from the chimney once today. But if they don't manage to make a selection today, and it's unlikely, very rarely will they do it on day one, then tomorrow we'll get 4 rounds of voting and then another 4 on Friday if it comes to that. So they'll start to pick up the pace somewhat and hopefully come to an answer. But they need to get a super majority. It's not a simple majority. 2/3 of that conclave of 133 people, Cardinals, they need 2/3 in order to get it over the line. So that's why it could take a couple of days.
And then, Trent, could you just remind our viewers what happens once they have come to an agreement and they've chosen the new Pope? What happens in the moments after that, just in terms of what happens within the walls of the Sistine Chapel?
Well, the first signal that we will get that the Pope has been chosen, of course, will be from that chimney. All of the world's media houses have got that camera trained right up on a close shot of that chimney. But we know that after the chimney smoke comes and we get the white smoke knowing that the new Pope has been chosen, then he will come out onto the balcony of the buildings in the Vatican. He will wave to the faithful. But before that, he will go to what's known as the Room of Tears, where he will put on his papal gowns, his new papal slippers. And the reason it's called the Room of Tears is it's said that in that moment, the emotion can be so overwhelming, both for the new pontiff and those around him, that they get quite emotional. That's why the name, the Room of Tears, is directed there. So there's ceremony here. This is an antiquated process, centuries old, and they are sticking to the script, and that is how we expect it to play out.
Thank you so much. That's our correspondent in Rome, Italy, Trent Murray. And we certainly hope to cross to you in the coming days and enjoy every moment of this historic situation there.